Imagine waking up every single morning feeling absolutely free. I mean, truly unshackled from that heavy weight of fear. Picture yourself stepping out into the world with a genuine sense of confidence, ready to embrace all of life's crazy unpredictability without a second thought. Now, take a moment to really think about how much fear has shaped your decisions. How many incredible opportunities have you actually avoided? How many moments of pure joy have you unwittingly sabotaged? And honestly, how much life have you simply missed out on because fear held you back? Fear, at its core, is one of the most primal emotions we experience. It's deeply ingrained in our very biology, acting as this powerful survival mechanism. But what happens when that protective instinct, which was designed to keep us safe, starts to completely control us? What happens when it begins to shape our entire reality and dictates our every single move? In this journey we're about to embark on, we're going to uncover the absolute truth about fear. We'll explore what it truly is, how it manifests in our lives, and most importantly, how we can genuinely overcome it. We're going to dive into the profound wisdom of great philosophers, the fascinating insights of modern psychology, and the incredible power of practical, actionable strategies, all designed to help you reclaim your life. And make no mistake, the final revelation we'll get to is going to be the most powerful of them all. It's a truth so profound that once you truly understand it, fear will no longer hold you hostage. But first, we have to start by understanding the true nature of fear. What is it? Where does it really come from? And why does it have such an incredible grip on us?
What is fear, really? Fear, simply put, is a response to uncertainty. It's this intricate mechanism designed to protect us from threats, whether those threats are real or just perceived. It originates from the most ancient part of our brain, that tiny but mighty part called the amygdala. This part of our brain has been wired for survival since the very dawn of humankind. Think about it. When our ancestors roamed the wild, fear was their constant companion, keeping them alive, alerting them to potential dangers lurking in the shadows. However, in our modern world, this instinct often misfires. We're not usually running from wild animals anymore or battling warring tribes. Yet, our minds often perceive things like social rejection, financial instability, or even just the possibility of failure as these huge existential threats. It's like our ancient brain hasn't quite caught up to our modern lives. The ancient Roman philosopher Seneca once wisely wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And that, my friends, is the first great truth about fear. Most of it, a huge chunk of it, is an illusion. It's not the actual event or the situation itself that paralyzes us, but rather our perception of it. Think back to the last time you felt truly afraid. Maybe it was the thought of speaking in public, or making a really tough decision, or perhaps stepping into something completely unknown. What was it that you truly feared in that moment? Was it the event itself? Or was it the story you started telling yourself about what might happen? Psychologists have a name for this phenomenon. It's called catastrophizing. It's that tendency we all have to imagine the absolute worst possible outcome, even when there's very little, if any, evidence to actually support it. Our minds, those incredible storytellers, create these terrifying scenarios, convincing us that failure is inevitable, humiliation is certain, and disaster is just around the corner. But here's the powerful paradox. Fear itself is often far worse than the thing we're actually afraid of. The anticipation of failure is frequently more painful than the failure itself. The fear of rejection is often more crippling than rejection itself. And yes, the fear of death is often more paralyzing than death itself. It's the buildup, the internal narrative, that does the real damage.
How do we break free? So, how do we finally break free from this cycle?
How do we stop allowing fear to dictate the entire course of our lives? The very first step is simple, yet profound: awareness. To truly dismantle fear, you must first recognize when it is controlling you. Start to observe your thoughts. Catch yourself in the act of catastrophizing. When those terrifying what-if scenarios pop into your head, pause and ask yourself, is this fear based on reality, or is it just a product of my imagination? Just noticing it is a massive step forward. The second step is to reframe your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as this menacing enemy, try to recognize it as a teacher. Every single fear you have holds a valuable lesson within it. The fear of failure? It teaches you about resilience. The fear of rejection? It teaches you about self-worth. The fear of the unknown? That one teaches you about courage. Fear isn't there to stop you, it's there to show you where you need to grow. The fundamental difference between those who are completely controlled by fear and those who manage to conquer it isn't the absence of fear. Oh no, everyone feels fear. The difference is their relationship with it. The great psychologist Carl Jung once famously said, "What you resist persists." The more you try to suppress fear, to shove it down and pretend it's not there, the stronger it actually becomes. But when you acknowledge it, when you face it head on, and when you begin to embrace it, something amazing happens. It starts to lose its power over you. It's like a bully who backs down when you stand your ground. And here's a truly crucial insight. Fear and excitement are often two sides of the same coin. Think about the physiological response to fear: a racing heart, sweaty palms, shallow breathing. Now think about the response to extreme excitement. Notice something? They're nearly identical. The only difference is your interpretation. When you're faced with something that triggers fear, instead of instantly saying, "Oh my God, I'm terrified," try a simple shift. "I'm excited." This tiny, simple change in language can literally transform your entire experience. Public speakers, elite athletes, and incredible performers use this technique constantly to transform that nervous energy into fuel, into a driving force.
But what if fear feels deeply, deeply ingrained in you? What if it feels almost impossible to shake off, like a part of your DNA? Then you must take the ultimate step. Take action. The final and most powerful way to truly overcome fear is through exposure. Every single time you avoid what you fear, you inadvertently reinforce its power over you. You're telling your brain, "See, that was dangerous. Good job avoiding it." But every single time you confront it, you actively weaken its grip. Psychologists call this exposure therapy, the practice of gradually facing your fears in controlled, manageable ways. If you have a fear of public speaking, don't jump on stage in front of thousands. Start by speaking up in a small group, then to a few more people. If you fear social interactions, start with brief, simple conversations. If you fear failure, start by taking small, low-stakes risks. With each successful exposure, fear diminishes. Your brain begins to learn a new lesson. I survived. Nothing terrible happened. And over time, what once seemed absolutely terrifying becomes manageable and eventually almost effortless. But there is one more final truth about fear, one that will change everything you thought you knew. And that, my friends, is what we will uncover next.
Fear often disguises itself, doesn't it? It wears these clever masks that make it seem so logical, so rational. It whispers convincing stories in our ears, suggesting that avoidance is always the safest path. But here's the absolute paradox. The more we avoid, the more fear grows. It absolutely thrives in the shadows of inaction, feeding on uncertainty and doubt until it becomes this monstrous thing in our minds. Consider this. What if the very thing you're afraid of, that deep-seated fear,
is actually the doorway to your growth? What if fear isn't a warning to retreat, but rather a signpost pointing directly towards transformation? The legendary philosopher Joseph Campbell once said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." This idea is both terrifying and incredibly liberating at the same time, because it reveals that fear isn't the enemy, it's actually a compass. Let's explore this through a really powerful psychological concept that many of you might have heard of: the comfort zone.
Stepping beyond the comfort zone. The comfort zone is essentially a psychological state where we feel safe and completely in control. There's minimal risk, and our stress levels are low. It feels incredibly secure, right? But here's the catch. It's also a trap. Growth doesn't happen there. It happens beyond this boundary, in that realm of discomfort and uncertainty, where we truly evolve. Think about the moments in your life when you experienced the most significant growth. Were they comfortable? Or were they filled with challenges, risks, and yes, a healthy dose of fear? The truth is, almost every meaningful achievement, every significant leap forward, requires stepping beyond what's familiar. But how do you even begin to do that when fear feels utterly overwhelming? The answer lies in understanding the growth zone and the panic zone. Imagine a spectrum. On one end, you have your cozy comfort zone. On the far other end, there's the panic zone, that place where the fear is so intense you can't function. But right in between comfort and panic, there's this sweet spot, the growth zone. Here you face challenges that stretch you, that push your limits, but they don't break you. It's about taking calculated risks, pushing your boundaries gradually, and allowing fear to exist without letting it completely control you. You acknowledge it, you feel it, but you still move forward. One incredibly effective strategy for this is called fear setting, a technique that's been popularized by the author and entrepreneur Tim Ferriss. Unlike traditional goal setting, fear setting involves defining your fears in excruciating detail. You literally write down what you're afraid of, all the worst-case scenarios you can imagine. And then, crucially, you consider the specific actions you could take to either prevent those scenarios from happening or to recover from them if they did. This process is so powerful because it demystifies fear. It strips it of its exaggerated, monstrous power. When you confront the absolute worst possible outcomes on paper, in black and white, you often realize they're simply not as catastrophic as your mind made them out to be. They become manageable, not terrifying.
Rewriting your internal narrative. Moreover, consider the profound role of narrative in fear. The stories we tell ourselves about our lives shape our entire reality. If you constantly narrate your life through a lens of fear, "I'm not good enough, I'll definitely fail, I can't handle this," those beliefs very quickly become self-fulfilling prophecies. Your brain hears those stories and goes, "Okay, noted, this is how we operate." But here's the incredibly liberating part. Narratives are not fixed. They can be rewritten. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective psychological approaches out there, emphasizes this very principle. CBT teaches us that our thoughts influence our feelings, which in turn affect our behaviors. By identifying and actively challenging distorted thinking patterns, those fear-based stories, we can fundamentally change how we feel and how we act. For example, instead of thinking, "If I speak up in this meeting, everyone will judge me," you can consciously reframe it to, "I have valuable ideas to share, and not everyone has to agree with me for my ideas to be valid." This shift might seem incredibly small, almost insignificant, but its impact is profound. Over time, as you consistently challenge those fear-based thoughts, They literally lose their grip on your mind. You're training your brain to think differently. Now, let's talk about an often overlooked ally in this battle against fear: community. Fear absolutely thrives in isolation.
The power of connection and small acts. Surround yourself with people who genuinely support your growth, who actively challenge your limiting beliefs, and who are there to remind you of your capabilities when you inevitably forget them. Whether it's a trusted mentor, a close friend, a supportive family member, or even an online support group, connection provides perspective. It reminds you that you're not alone in your fears, that others have felt similar things and come out stronger. Consider the incredible story of Rosa Parks, a figure whose quiet courage literally changed history. On that fateful day when she refused to give up her seat, do you think she was fearless? Of course not. She was undoubtedly afraid, but she acted despite her fear, drawing immense strength from her community and her unwavering belief in justice. Her act wasn't about the absence of fear, it was about the presence of something more important. And here's another vital truth. Fear is a natural, inherent part of life. It will never completely disappear. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to be fearless, but to fear less. It's about learning to feel the fear and do it anyway. To help you on this journey, start by embracing small acts of courage daily. Speak up when you'd rather stay silent. Try something new, even if you're unsure of the outcome. Take that first step towards a goal, no matter how small it feels. Why? Because momentum builds confidence. Each small victory, each tiny step forward creates a ripple effect, telling your brain, hey, I can do this. Reflect on this deeply. What would your life genuinely look like if you weren't afraid? Imagine the incredible possibilities, the rich experiences, and the immense growth waiting for you on the other side of that fear. But there's still one more crucial layer to uncover: the ultimate truth about fear, the insight that transcends all the strategies and techniques we've discussed so far. A revelation that, once understood, can truly shift your entire perspective on life itself. I'm ready when you are for the final part.
What if I told you that the ultimate freedom from fear doesn't come from conquering it in a battle, but from embracing it fully, from recognizing it as an absolutely integral, even valuable part of the human experience? This is the ultimate shift in understanding fear, not as an adversary you need to defeat, but as an ally you can learn from. Think about it. Every single time you faced a fear and moved through it, you didn't just survive, you transformed. You became someone new, someone stronger, wiser, more resilient. The fear itself was not the obstacle, it was the catalyst. This realization changes everything. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." Fear often arises from our resistance to change, doesn't it? Our deep-seated desire to control outcomes, to cling desperately to the familiar. But life itself is change. It's dynamic, it's unpredictable, and frankly, it's beyond our ultimate control. The more we resist that fundamental truth, the more fear we create. The more we accept it, the freer we become. Consider the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha. His journey wasn't about avoiding fear, it was about confronting the deepest existential fears imaginable: suffering, loss, and death. Through his profound experiences, he discovered that fear often arises from attachment and the illusion of permanence. When we truly accept the impermanence of all things, that everything is constantly changing, including us, fear loses its iron grip. This leads us to a truly transformative practice: mindfulness.
The power of mindfulness and courage. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, of simply observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's about noticing fear when it arises, silently naming it, and then just sitting with it. not trying to escape it, not trying to fight it, but simply allowing it to be there without letting it define who you are. When you observe fear with genuine curiosity instead of immediate judgment, something remarkable happens. You begin to see it for what it truly is, just sensations in your body, just thoughts in your mind, fleeting and impermanent. You realize that you are not your fear. You are the awareness that observes it. You are the vast sky, and fear is just a passing cloud. Modern neuroscience actually supports this. Studies show that consistent mindfulness practices can significantly reduce the activity of the amygdala, that brain's fear center we talked about. At the same time, it strengthens the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and emotional regulation. In simple terms, mindfulness literally rewires your brain, changing how you experience fear at a fundamental level. Try this simple exercise the next time you feel afraid. Pause. Just stop what you're doing. Take a deep breath. Name the fear silently to yourself. This is fear. Notice where you feel it in your body. Is it a tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Just observe, without trying to change it. Then, gently shift your attention to your breath, anchoring yourself firmly in the present moment.
This practice won't make fear disappear entirely, but it absolutely changes your relationship with it. You're no longer trapped in the story fear tells you. You become the witness, the calm center amidst the storm. But awareness alone isn't enough. To truly transform fear, we must cultivate courage. And courage isn't something you're just born with. It's something you build, one small act at a time. Nelson Mandela, who faced unimaginable fears during his fight against apartheid, famously said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Courage is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Start small. Take risks that feel manageable. Celebrate every single victory, no matter how minor it seems. Each act of courage sends a powerful, undeniable message to your subconscious. I am capable. I can handle this. And here's a secret. Courage is contagious. When you live boldly, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon, lighting the way for those around you.
The deepest truth and your bold future. But let's go even deeper. What truly lies beneath all fear? If we peel back the layers, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, what do we ultimately find? At the very core, it's often the fear of death. Not just physical death, but the death of the ego, the loss of identity, the great unknown. This existential fear is the root of so many anxieties, but confronting it can be incredibly liberating. Philosophers like Socrates embraced the inevitability of death, not as something to fear, but as a natural, undeniable part of life. In fact, acknowledging our own mortality can give life far greater meaning. It reminds us that our time here is limited, and that's precisely what makes it so precious. When you truly accept that everything is temporary, your fears, your successes, even your very existence, you stop clinging so tightly. You start living more fully, embracing each moment with openness and genuine gratitude. This is the ultimate paradox. To overcome fear, you must face it head-on. Not to fight it, but to truly understand it. To sit with it, learn from it, and allow it to transform you. So constantly ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? What part of myself is waiting to emerge on the other side of this fear? Because here's the absolute truth. The life you dream of is on the other side of fear.
The person you're truly meant to become is waiting beyond the limits you've placed on yourself. And now, as we reach the very end of this journey, we uncover the final, most powerful revelation about fear. A truth that will not only shift your mindset, but fundamentally change the way you live.
The final, liberating revelation. What if I told you that the ultimate freedom from fear doesn't come from conquering it, but from embracing it fully? From recognizing it as an integral, inescapable, and even powerful part of the human experience? The final revelation is this: fear will always exist, but it no longer has to control you. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, beautiful ocean. The waves represent your fears, some small and gentle, others towering and fierce. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid those waves, running from the shoreline, terrified of being pulled under. But true freedom comes when you realize that you are not separate from the ocean. You are part of it. The waves may rise and crash, but they cannot drown you because you've learned how to swim. This is the very essence of true fear mastery. It's not an external force to be battled into submission, but an inner current to be navigated. Its energy is raw, powerful, and when harnessed correctly, absolutely transformative. Consider the wisdom of Rumi, the great Sufi poet, who wrote, "Don't move the way fear makes you move the way love makes you move." This isn't just a beautiful poetic sentiment, it's a profound, life-altering truth. When you shift your motivation from fear to love, from avoidance to engagement, your entire life changes. Think of fear as a signal, not a stop sign. It's an invitation to look deeper, to question, to explore. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this fear?" start asking, "What is this fear teaching me about myself?" Perhaps it's pointing to a dream you've buried, a truth you've ignored, or a part of yourself you've yet to fully embrace. Take the incredible story of Malala Yousafzai, who faced unimaginable fear in her courageous fight for girls' education. She didn't eliminate her fear, she transformed it into a force for courage. She once famously said, "I told myself, Malala, you have already faced death. This is your second life. Don't be afraid. If you are afraid, you can't move forward." Her story isn't just about bravery, it's about the pure alchemy of turning fear into purpose.
Now let's ground all this wisdom into practical steps you can carry forward, starting today. Acknowledge your fear without judgment. Naming it gives you power over it. Instead of saying, "I am afraid," try saying, "I notice fear is present." This subtle shift reminds you that fear is an experience, not your identity. Breathe through the fear. The simple conscious act of deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms your body and mind. When fear arises, pause. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold for a moment, and exhale slowly. Feel the tension release with each breath. Reframe your narrative. Fear often tells us stories of limitation. Challenge those stories. Instead of, "I can't do this," say, "This is difficult, but I can learn." Instead of, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I grow?" Your words literally shape your reality. Take action, however small. Fear thrives on inertia. The moment you move, fear loses its grip. Action doesn't mean giant leaps. It can be as simple as making that phone call you've been avoiding, speaking up in a meeting, or trying something new. Each small step builds momentum. Finally, cultivate a practice of gratitude. Fear focuses on what might go wrong. Gratitude shifts your attention to what is already good in your life. Every single day, reflect on what you're grateful for, no matter how small. This practice rewires your brain to notice abundance rather than scarcity.
Every single day, reflect on what you're grateful for, no matter how small. This practice rewires your brain to notice abundance rather than scarcity. But beyond all these strategies lies the deepest truth. You are not broken. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you for feeling fear. It simply means you're alive, engaged with life, standing at the very edge of growth. Fear is a sign that you care, that you're on the brink of something truly meaningful. So, as you face the world from this moment forward, remember this. You are stronger than your fear. You are more than your doubts. You are the ocean, vast and deep, with waves that rise and fall, but never ever define you.
Ask yourself, what would my life truly look like if I no longer let fear make my decisions for me? Imagine the places you'd go, the dreams you'd chase, the incredible person you'd become. And here's the final, most powerful revelation. The life you seek isn't waiting beyond your fear. It's waiting through it. The path isn't around fear. It's directly through it, step by courageous step. Now I leave you with this question, a call to action for your own incredible journey. If not now, when? If not you, who? The world isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced, explored, and lived fully. You have everything you need within you. Go live boldly.